A morning of fragile joy, a noon of heavy truth. Hello everyone, and thank you for returning to my channel. How are you today? I hope your work and life are running smoothly. Today, we continue the emotional journey of Diep, a woman whose quiet life on the hillside has been marked by hardship, love, and an unshakable devotion to family. This episode unfolds like a bittersweet ballad. It begins in peace, crescendos into joy, and then plummets into the sharp reality of loss and uncertainty. The dawn of a simple day. The morning began with a rare tranquility at the small house perched on the hillside. Golden beams of early sunlight filtered through swaying palm leaves, painting the earthen yard with scattered patches of warmth. The air was alive with the scent of fresh grass and damp soil left behind by the night's dew. Roosters crowed with authority, while sparrows flitted and chirped as if announcing a new day full of promise. In the courtyard, Diep moved with quiet purpose. Dressed in a plain cotton shirt, her hair neatly braided, she scattered grain for the chickens and geese. The flock responded in a flurry of wings and clucks, pecking hungrily at the feed in a rustic chorus that embodied the rhythm of village life. Her movements were light, her gaze soft, a portrait of tenderness in the way she nurtured even the simplest creatures under her care. Not far away, laughter erupted. James, tall and dignified despite his businesslike air, was fully immersed in a game of hopscotch with little Nhi. The child, dressed in a bright red blouse with her hair tied into playful pigtails, hopped clumsily but with pure excitement across imaginary squares drawn into the dirt. Each time she stumbled, James bent down, matching her playful energy without hesitation. Their laughter intertwined, echoing across the yard in the kind of carefree melody that makes one believe, just for a moment, that nothing in the world matters more than shared joy. When Nhi nearly fell, James was quick to scoop her up, and the two burst into uncontrollable laughter. Beads of sweat formed on their foreheads as the game stretched on beneath the rising sun, but their smiles never wavered. With fatherly tenderness, James wiped the sweat from Nhi's brow. From the side, Diep watched the scene and chuckled softly, a witness to a fleeting yet unforgettable harmony. Around the bamboo table. By late morning, the trio gathered at the bamboo table on the porch. A rustic teapot steamed beside plates of freshly picked cucumbers. Nhi sat eagerly, crunching cucumber slices as she recounted their game in rapid, excited bursts, afraid the joy might vanish if she didn't speak quickly enough. James and Diep sat across from one another, sipping their tea. He glanced at the lush garden, then back at her, his lips curving into a quiet smile. Their talk drifted gently across everyday topics: how well the chickens ate, how the cucumbers were growing, what new song Nhi had learned at school. Every so often, James slipped in a playful remark, and laughter rippled through the table. Gradually, the conversation turned toward the future. James, steady and warm in tone, revealed his wish to stay longer, no longer a passing visitor. He spoke of building a sturdier home, planting more fruit trees, even digging a small fish pond to enrich their meals. Diep's heart swelled with surprise and joy. These were not simply his dreams anymore. She and little Nhi were woven into them. The child's eyes widened. With innocence, she added her own wishes: a swing in the yard, a puppy to run with in the afternoons. James patted her head and promised with a smile, while Diep's gaze softened, filled with quiet happiness. For a moment, the morning sunlight seemed to bless their shared vision of tomorrow. The news that changed everything. But peace never lingers long. Around noon, under the blue tarpaulin shading their porch, the three remained seated around the bamboo table. Their laughter and conversation drifted like a gentle song of daily life. Then came the sound of footsteps at the bamboo gate. A man in a green uniform appeared, the local police officer, holding a black briefcase. His presence drew silence instantly. He nodded politely and, with a steady but warm voice, announced, "We have located Nhi's biological parents." "Tomorrow, we will collect a blood sample for testing." The words fell like thunder. Diep froze, her heart tightening, eyes flickering instinctively toward James. His smile vanished, his face suddenly etched with gravity. Nhi blinked, bewildered, before whispering in a trembling voice, "I don't want to go live with my parents." "My father often hits me." The innocence and pain in her confession pierced like a blade. Diep pulled the child into her arms, stroking her hair as tears welled in her eyes. James sat silent, fingers clasped tightly, before slowly reaching out to hold Nhi's tiny hand. His voice, low and breaking yet firm, promised, "Don't be afraid. You still have your aunt and me here." "No matter what happens, we will make sure you're happy." The officer lingered for a while, observing the undeniable bond before him. He explained the legal steps, then rose quietly and left, the rustle of leaves marking his departure. Vows beneath the silence. When the officer disappeared, silence weighed heavy on the porch. Nhi clung tightly to Diep, her small face creased with fear. James leaned closer, resting a reassuring hand on Diep's shoulder. His voice softened. "I know how worried you must feel, but we cannot let her drown in fear." "Tomorrow, I'll stand by you. Whatever happens, I promise I'll be here for both of you." Diep's eyes, red from tears, shone with trust. She tightened her embrace around Nhi, as if shielding her with the safety of her own heartbeat. The little girl lifted her face, whispering, "I just want to stay with Auntie and Uncle." "Here, I feel happy. Here, I am loved." Her words, fragile yet resolute, lit a flame in their hearts. James bent down, kissed her forehead, and smiled tenderly. "Don't worry. We are a family, and you'll never be alone." Then, with a deep breath, he rose. Straightening his shirt, he explained he needed to return to the company for urgent matters but promised to return that afternoon. Nhi clutched his hand desperately. "Uncle, please come back this afternoon." James crouched to her level, squeezed her hand, and whispered, "I promise." His tall figure faded beyond the bamboo fence, leaving the porch in a hollow silence. The midday sun illuminated his every step, while inside, Diep sat with Nhi on her lap, vowing silently to protect this child, no matter what the future held. Waiting for tomorrow. That noon ended in waiting. Waiting for James's return. Waiting for the morning that would determine Nhi's fate. Yet within that small household, despite the dread of separation, one belief burned steady. Family is not defined solely by blood, but by love, safety, and the peace of belonging.